go. Hey guys, Red here, and today I'm with Brian Beekoff. How do you say that name?
Croft, Croft.
Oh, oh, that's an interesting name. Anyways, this is an interesting Red interviews because this is webcammed like the director I interviewed a little bit ago. Anyways, so please tell the viewers what you do.
I'm a comic artist.
Hold on, you froze. Okay. Uh, yeah, okay, I see what I need to do. Yeah, so what have you drawn, comically wise? That makes sense.
Well, probably nothing you've heard of. I self-publish my own independent comics. I have a company, Type B Comics, and formed for that purpose. And right now, our big book, we are out in June. It's called Dobler, and it's about a little monster. He kind of came out of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I was running.
So you haven't done stuff like DC and Marvel type stuff?
No, I have not. I mean, other than, upon request, but so far the companies themselves have not requested it.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, let's begin with the first question, which I answered what you do, and that's it. All right. So the next question is, how did you go about becoming a comic book artist?
Well, I didn't go to school, specifically for that. For instance, I know Matt Slay, who was there with me at Starport, and he's been to school and done all sort of the proper channels. I've kind of just been self-taught, and it was just a matter of I did take a class recently, and it was with several comic book professionals. One of the guys who does Atomic Robo did the graphics part, and a guy named James Moffat did the writing bit. And I took a class with them and realized I was kind of operating at that level, and was like, I think I can try this. So for me anyway, it was just a matter of me sort of deciding that that's what I wanted to do. I was fortunate in that way.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's cool. All right. So did you ever look at people? Oh shoot, I can't think of any comic book artists. I mean, besides like you and Matt Sly, which looking forward to another interviews. Um, my question would be, so you had said you didn't. Well, you said upon request. What do you mean by that for the comic book like DC and Marvel and stuff?
Well, when I do commission work, so people, can commission me to do a picture of Captain America or whatever they want. And of course, it shows I wind up doing a lot of sketches, whether for tips or sometimes for free, depending. I do them on the backs of my comics for free. If you buy a comic, I give you a free sketch. So, a lot of people ask for Batman or whatever. So, and I have experience drawing heroes for sure. It's what I've wanted to do since I was a little kid.
And I'm just gonna mention the nerdy stuff behind you because that's just awesome.
Sure.
Because there's a little Doctor Who TARDIS is what I'm noticing behind you on one of the
Yeah,
shelves.
yeah. I have a Doctor Who shelf and some Legos on the top and like some superhero stuff and yeah, I just kind of stuff that I dig, just kind of around, just something to look at when I'm staring off into the distance.
Yeah. Oh, Darth Vader. um, so your new book, your new one coming out in July. What's that all about?
Um, Actually, it'll be in June. It'll actually
Oh,
be in a
June.
couple weeks. I should have it in my hand the first week of June. It's called Dobler, and it's about a character that came out of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I was running. I have my fingers in a lot of pies, and I actually also am the creator and producer of the Roll with This podcast, which is a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. And on that podcast where it features us playing Dungeons and Dragons or some other role playing game. Dobler was a background character who became so beloved to the group that he kind of took on a life of his own. So I decided to draw a comic about him.
Oh, that's oh, that's cool. So what is Doppler? Is Doppler a robot, or I mean, I think I saw a robot like that before.
Dobler is a monster. He is as I'm forgetting exactly the quote. I wrote it, which is sad, but it's something about he's made from a bit of this and a bit of that, but none of it pleasant.
Ah, jeez. Is it good Doppler or bad Doppler?
No, Dobler is a good creature. He was designed for evil, but something went amiss, and he came out a good-natured and kind-hearted creature.
Which just made the person who made him go, and I failed at life.
Well, to a certain degree, I suppose.
Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah. All right. So, did you ever think when you were younger that you would be a comic book artist and
I
making your own
mean, did I?
comics?
No, I certainly did not think that that was. I was one of those people. I hear this a lot from other people where it's like, oh, that's somebody else. Somebody else does that. I no, I don't know who, but it's certainly not me. Um, and really, it was just a matter of I would still feel that way, but. I've been around people now through the conventions. I work with VA Comic Con. I've worked with Tidewater Comic Con, both on a professional and exhibitor level. And I was around those people enough to go, you know what? They're just like me. Or more importantly, I'm no different.
Now, I'm noticing all those nerdy stuff behind you, and I'm gonna mention on that if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I know on personal experience, I get told, "Oh, you're too old for stuff like nerdy stuff," or
Okay.
how do you deal with that?
Uh, I would submit that I don't, I think, deal with it. I am certainly uh, a grown man, entitled to my likes, as is everyone. Everyone should, indulge the thing that they enjoy, and certainly, I think, do so without having to feel the need to justify it in any way.
Brave words, good words. Um,
Oh, well, thank
oh,
you.
yeah, it's like a fortune cookie. Turn of the fortune cookie. So how long have you been interested in the nerdy stuff? I don't know if that's the right word for
Well,
it.
I don't know. That's an odd question to me, because I think anyone who identifies as sort of being a nerd or nerdy or liking nerdy things kind of has always done so. I don't think it's like being a mutant where like you get to around 13, 14 and you go, oh my God, this is amazing. I think it's always kind of in you, you know?
Yeah. Wouldn't I don't know if this might be an odd question. The way I phrase it might be really odd. But how did you get to how did you get like introduced to the characters you draw on a regular basis?
I mean, as far as comic books go, which, I think is probably what you're asking about. I mean, the very first thing that ever blew my mind as a little kid, I was old enough, I was 3 years old when the original Star Wars: A New Hope hit the theaters. I mean, that's the first thing that I was ever exposed to that was that sort of universe, at least directly, and it blew my little doors off, and I think it shaped everything after that. As far as comics go, um, I would say there's a comic in particular that I have. It was signed by the artist before he passed. Fortunately, I was very lucky to have met him before he passed, and signed the first. It was an Incredible Hulk comic. I think it was issue 152, and in which the Hulk is shrunk down to the size of like a lab rat. And it blew my mind as a kid that like you could take a character like the Hulk and shrink him and make him fight like a mouse. I was like, wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Who is the artist of that one, if you remember?
Herb Trimpe. Herb Trimpe was the man's name.
Nice. When did you get that issue then?
It was not mine. It was actually my father's, and he had it kicking around. He wasn't a huge comics dude, but he did enjoy a few comics, and this happened to be one that he had kicking around. I think I found it somewhere and just hung on to it because it was the craziest.
Do you still read comic books to this day, or is it not really of a thing you really
It,
do anymore?
until about, I think, 2 years ago, I actually hosted a podcast with a buddy of mine reviewing current comics. And it was about 2 years ago that it ended because the rebirth happened and the multiversity thing was going on in DC and all of that kind of nonsense. And it just lost me. I just didn't. I just stopped caring.
Yeah,
Also, I would like to add that it's hard to read stuff and make stuff.
yeah,
You either have time to read it or you have time to make it.
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Um, so I don't know if you're aware, but there's people out there like comic historians and stuff that goes over comics on YouTube. That way, people don't need to go out and read them, but they advertise for people to go out to read them. That way, the series continues and whatever. Do you think that's a good
Okay,
idea or a bad idea?
sure. I mean, it sounds a lot like what I was doing, at least in podcast form. We waited a week. We did our reviews for the books that came out the week previous, so that we just assumed that if you are a regular comic reader, and we said that at the beginning of the podcast, that if we assume you're a current comic reader and that we aren't spoiling anything for you. So, I mean, if people know what they're getting into and it's very clear that there's going to be spoilers of that kind of thing, then, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Mm. I'm trying to think if I'm trying not to like rush it all, but I'm trying to make sure I get all the questions I have in my head.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
so with the company that you're making with the new comic series, which
Sure.
this is totally not an advertisement for that, but it's turning out to be. Uh, um, but how did you get introduced to the comic? How did you get introduced to the people and go, oh, this is something I would like to do. Please, let me make this become a book.
Wow, that's a multi-part question, I think. Okay, so I met people through doing VA Comic Con and Tidewater and such. I've been working with VA Comic Con now for I think 3 years in a professional capacity for two. Um, my wife is the floor manager of that particular show, Tidewater Comic Con. I was actually their panel coordinator last year. So I've had a lot of very exclusive access to a lot of, the celebrities, whether they be from the comic world or the television world or whatever. I have a lot of exclusive access to those people. And, like I had mentioned before, it was a matter of realizing, oh, I'm no different from them. They're just people. Everybody's just people. It's just a thing you do, and and so that kind of gave me the courage to make a thing, or at least to show people that I could try. Um, as far as like why did I make a comic? Because it's something that I've always wanted to do. I love comic book storytelling. It makes sense to me. It's made sense to me since the minute I laid eyes on it. It's maybe one of the best ways to tell a story. Anything can happen, and in a way that even movies now, you have a budget, and in a comic, anything, literally anything that can happen. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean that's why certainly why I decided to start making comics.
You don't see it, but I'm nodding along. I'm like, oh, that's neat. Okay, so I know with the are you a fan of the DC or Marvel movies?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, probably I think as we all are, maybe a little more on the Marvel side, but definitely I have seen most of them.
To be fair, they do make more movies. Well, live action.
Sure, sure.
Is there any movie you do not like because of the story or because of the comic they chose to portray wrong?
Well, I wasn't a fan of Superman, Batman v Superman. That was a flimsy plot twist. It was a flimsy premise. It was really pretty and it looked real nice. But I mean, as a movie, I'm not sure it really worked. And the only one that like leaps to mind is another one that just is kind of universally despised, and that's the Green Lantern. It was terrible. it had barely anything to do with the Green Lantern.
Yeah, and the villains. Ugh.
Right.
It's like for some reason that villain's a version of is DC's version of Galactus from Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Sure.
It's like, oh, that's Galactus. Have you seen the comic book?
Right, right.
I swear, I think it'd be funny if like the actual comic book people messed it like intentionally did it differently. That way, it's not panel for panel, look for look, because that'd be kind of boring, you know.
I
But they,
see. Yeah, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, they made it differently, and then everyone just got mad at them. It's like, you should be able to do it right. It's like, I did the way I wanted to. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I suppose, there's a certain amount of ownership that the fandom has over that sort of thing. There's a certain expectation that I think we should be allowed to have about like this is what we expect to see in a Fantastic Four movie. And if it doesn't come across on those points, then whose fault is that?
Yeah, good point. Uh, I can see where you're coming from, though. It's like, oh, well, uh, I'm trying to make sure I'm touching all the questions, but I'm having brain
Sure, sure.
farts. It's like they're there, but they're not there. Oh, have you? Well, being that you're not super publicly well known, you have you ever been like publicly like you're walking to Walmart or something, and someone's like, "Oh, that's who that is."
Um, I wow. I'm trying to think if so, if it has happened, and I'm not thinking of an instance, but if it has happened, it was due to a podcast that I did. It had nothing to do with I've only been officially a quote unquote professional artist for all a year exactly. I think on Free Comic Book Day. So, I mean, up until then, it had been strictly, amateur, not charging, doing it and doing it for myself and not really putting it out there. So certainly, as far as that goes, no, but definitely, I'm not going to say definitely, but I'm going to say it may have happened in relation to one of the podcasts that I've done.
Wait, so if you weren't a if you've only been a comic book artist for about a year now, and you've
That's
been
correct.
going to the VA cons professionally for about 2 years now, what were you going
Right.
for? Like,
I was their panel coordinator, and I was the assistant to their panel coordinator, and I'm sort of the assistant floor manager.
okay, please use small words. You're dealing with me now.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean.
Use smaller words. I don't understand what those words mean.
Well, a panel coordinator. I decide on the programming for the show. In other words, when there are panels that happen, who gets those panels, when those panels occur, in what order do they occur. That is one of my jobs. My wife is in fact the actual factual with a title floor manager of VA Comic Con, and when I am able, assist her. So I'm kind of an assistant floor manager in that way. And again, I've done the same panel coordinator job for Tidewater professionally.
Oh, oh, okay. So where is Virginia? The VA, which means Virginia. Where is the Virginia Comic Con held at?
Well, it's actually held in different places depending. However, for the last little while, we.
Go. All right.
Oh, well, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we were past the. Okay, so Lynchburg Comic Con is normally in the Richmond Speedway.
Yeah.
And yeah. What about the other one, the one in Virginia Beach?
Well, yeah, that would be Tidewater, and it is. It's in Virginia Beach, Virginia, at the Virginia Beach Convention Center. Again, super easy to find.
It's super obvious. It's like, where is it? Virginia Beach. Okay, where is in Virginia Beach? It's the biggest place in there.
Right, right. It is a rather sizable facility.
So have you ever been as a panelist yourself?
Oh, yeah, certainly so. I've been a panel host plenty. Again, for the aforementioned podcast that I used to do with my buddy, we were kind of the interviewers for VA Comic Con before we were actually professionally attached to them in any way. So I've actually talked to several of the Power Rangers. I've talked to Chris Claremont, writer of the X-Men, amongst other things. Oh my goodness, Herb Trimpe. Honestly, they're all escaping me, but some really cool people.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually sounds like a very like dream job as a child.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like I make my living off of it, but certainly I am paid for my services, and that is a privilege.
To meet some of the Power Rangers. That just sounds like some of the original or over the year Power Rangers.
No, actually, Mighty Morphin, the original set. I have spoken with. I'm actually Facebook friends with Karen Ashley. Like, not her bullshit Facebook page, like her and I directly. And not that that's a huge brag. She has a lot of followers. And actually, though, last year was super exciting. We actually had Austin St. John, the original Red Power Ranger, actually came to a party at our house and hung out with us for a little while. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that definitely sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
I have friends at very high places. Yeah, well, I have friends that are
I,
Power
I
Rangers.
don't know about that, but definitely it was nice. It was nice having him.
He just sees the red Power Ranger. Goes, "Oh, I know what this suit is."
Sure.
So wait, you started as a me then, interviewing random
I'm
people.
sorry.
Wait, I said so. You started as out as a me then, interviewing people.
Well, yeah. I mean, certainly, yeah. I had a podcast. It was definitely geared toward meeting people that were in the industry. As well as like I said, reviewing comic books. That was kind of the staple of the podcast. But that's been over for quite some time. And but now I do a new one. It's called the Roll with Us podcast, and we're having a lot of fun doing that.
Do you just roll with it?
That is kind of the joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly so.
Well, now I just feel bad. I thought I was the first one to make the pun. It's like, yeah, you wish. What do you do on the Roll with Me podcast?
Actually, the role with this podcast, it's a group of my friends, again, from VA Comic Con and such, all the con circuit. I've kind of gathered together these group of sort of mega game players. All of us are working artists and writers, so that kind of adds a cool dimension to it. And we get together a couple times a month. We play a role-playing game. Sometimes it's Star Wars, sometimes it's Dungeons and Dragons, sometimes it's Call of Cthulhu. And we record ourselves playing an adventure in that game. We break it down into hour-long episodes. We post a new one every week.
That sounds like a blast.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Again, there's some really, really creative people, and the games we play are really fun. We've actually been doing it for a year and a half, and we just put up episode 74 on Wednesday.
Oh, jeez. So if my understanding, you recorded it all in one day. You're just recording different. You're just
Um,
recording at different times. Or am I
that
mistaken?
is largely how it gets done. Yes, like we get together, we record as much as we can. It's usually between 4 and 6 hours, and then if the adventure takes longer, we get together again.
Jeez. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
No wonder people call like role playing games like that like very nerdy thing, which I don't.
It is certainly a very nerdy thing.
And I thought Risk was hard, long to play.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely have spent some time. I think one of our adventures is well over I think 17 hours.
Holy crap!
Yeah, yeah, we take it for real. However, it's again, that's why we break it down into hour-long chunks. It's very palatable. I edit all the episodes. It's not just us sitting around like picking our noses and eating chips. Like I cut out all the nonsense and all the noise and all the looking stuff up, and we actually make it into a tight little story. And I'm pretty proud of the result.
I might have to look into that then.
Oh wow, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Special guest, RedtheKiddXD. He won't leave me alone. He laughs because he knows it's true. But I will definitely try my best to put that stuff in the description below so you guys can look into it as well. Maybe it's your cup of tea. Maybe it's
Yeah, for
not.
sure, man.
That's
For sure. It's rollwithus dot libsyn.com/podcast. That's where you find our feed. We're also available on iTunes. Basically, if you have a podcast app and you can't find us, you've done something wrong.
Fair point. Okay. Let me think. Have you ever had? Okay, this is a random question. It's just a funny question that popped in my head. Now I'm gonna let everyone know
Sure.
flat out. I don't. I should have these written down, but I lost the one list, and I'm like, I'm not gonna write it again. Anywho, have you ever had like people draw like fan art or whatever of your characters on those adventures?
No, I mean, actually, I'm pretty fortunate in that I draw my own fan art, and I actually do. I do a lot of art and maps and background sort of things for the adventures. Everyone has a pretty detailed picture of what they're fighting, that sort of thing.
I just want to just put this out there. I'm sorry for any technical difficulties I just deal with because I just deal with them. I can't help them anymore. You just cut out a little bit. Like I understood every word. It was just really fuzzy. So if
I
you're
gotcha.
oh, and now you're perfectly fine. Thanks, computer.
Okay.
You're a turd. All right. So okay. Well, that's neat. I think. I mean, having a comic book artist draw your own event. It's a draw your own adventure book.
Well, but more or less, I do. I write the adventures, so yeah, it all kind of goes together.
Wait. So you write the adventures, draw the adventures, and play in the adventures?
I DM the ones that I write and draw, yes, and then another artist, writer friend of mine, Kyer Lyles, does the Cthulhu games for us, and my son actually does several superhero role playing games for us.
That's. I think the superhero one and the Star Wars one sounds the most fun.
Yeah, they are some of the more popular episodes, absolutely.
Again, I'm trying to think here because I don't want to like end it too early because there's a set like minimum, and I'm like, I don't want to end it early because I think there's probably more I forgot to ask. But okay, okay, I just thought of one. So what would you say to aspiring artists in any genre?
Wow, that's a heavy burden. Let me think for just a moment. Don't. Okay, you know what? I do have one thing, and it maybe will hit different people differently than it hit me, and I may be misattributing it, but I think it was Salvador Dali. I am not sure that that's true. It was certainly a famous artist of that period, and it's a very simple quote, and the quote is, "Finished, not perfect." Don't get hung up on making things perfect. Just get it to where you feel it's finished and be done. Walk away and call it good enough and have the confidence in yourself to know that it's good enough.
Huh? That's good advice.
Well, thank you very much.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. You sound like a fortune cookie.
Well, that's very nice of you, I think.
I think I'm not really sure he might have just insulted me. I didn't, but it's fine. I mean, I would say, what would you say to aspiring comic book artists? But to be completely honest, I don't think most comic book artists, most people that try to go for comic book industry, make it that big, like make it big immediately.
It takes a lot. Yes, yeah. That was actually going to be the first thing that I was going to say before I came up with the second was just do the work. Do the work. Don't say that you draw comics and don't draw comics. Draw comics. Don't say you do art and then don't do art. Do the art. Got to do it.
Just do it.
You'd be surprised the number of people who talk a good game and do not do the work. And that's how you got to do it. You just got to do it.
Huh. Neat. Um. Who? Okay. This again a random question, which is what this episode is full of anymore. Who is your favorite superhero to draw, from DC or Marvel?
Wow, my favorite one to
No,
draw.
no, correction. Doesn't have to be DC or Marvel. Can be any superhero.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Wow, I don't know that I have a favorite one to draw. There's not like a go-to. I do tend to draw Wonder Woman a lot because I really enjoy the Wonder Woman character, well and above and outside and before all of the nonsense that's going on now with the movie and everyone thinks they know everything about Wonder Woman. But also that my wife is a huge Wonder Woman fan, so it's kind of a thing that I go to a lot. Um, but I don't really have one. The other, I think, character I've drawn the most, though, is Deadpool. Everybody loves Deadpool, and when you go to a show, invariably someone will ask you to draw Deadpool.
Hmm. What's the one you have the most fun drawing?
The one I have the most fun drawing. It really, I like people. I can't even say a particular character. I like characters that have interesting costumes. I like, some little detail or something that you can put in there, and it's like that's the thing that makes the costume.
Like what?
Um, well, I think a really obvious example would be Spider-Man and like the webbing on Spider-Man's costume. You have to do it right. You have to do it correctly. There is a right and a wrong way to do that webbing, and if you do it wrong, it looks wrong. So I like that kind of thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Neat. So, if you've ever drawn the Spider-Man, have you ever drawn the armpit webs?
Yeah, yeah, I'm a big fan of the armpit webs. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's not what they're called, but I'm gonna call them now.
yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's what they are.
Are you excited to see the new Spider-Man Homecoming movie?
I'm interested to see. Yeah, I don't know. I've been a little burned by the last couple Spider-Man movies. Not real big fan. So I mean, hopefully it'll be good. He was good in Civil War for the 5 seconds he was in it.
5 minutes, but yeah, good point. Same difference. Uh, why were you not thrilled with the ones, the last few?
Well, they were bad, weren't they? I mean, honestly, they were just terrible. And I think those are movies again where it's pretty universally accepted that we all got real screwed on those movies. They were not also made for an American audience, by the way. They were made to be internationally popular, which is why they were not popular domestically.
Door, door. Your door just opened.
Oh, okay.
In case that was important at all. I don't know if you knew.
I'm good. I'm good.
That way nobody's writing in the comments. Oh, it's door open. Da, 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 da.
If honestly, I hope that this doesn't make it in. But if that's what people are commenting on, then maybe this is the wrong thing for them.
Good point. Good point. Um, but anyways, so I think that's all the questions I have.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that, but honestly, I'm pretty sure that's all the questions
Well,
I
you know
have.
what? Honestly, I have actually got to go and make my. She is very patiently waiting for me to make her dinner. So I think that will be the end for tonight.
Okay. Before we end, is there any last things you would like to say to the audience?
Um, yeah, check out Type B Comics, typebcomics.com. I'm Type B Comics on every form of social media. Please check me out. I'm posting stuff all the time. Also, check out the Roll With Us podcast, rollwithus.libsyn.com /podcast. And you can find us on all of the podcast apps, iTunes, all of it. Check us out. It's great.
All right. I think that'll do it for both of us. All right, guys. Have a nice life. Goodbye.
All right, it was good talking to you.
I guess that's his version of bye. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Till next week.